podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Welcome to the 1905 podcast, home of the world champions, Chelsea. Each week, Joe and I bring you our unfiltered takes on the highs, the lows, and everything in between, following the Blues from Gate 13 of the Matthew Harding stand. Let's hit the notes.
Well, Joe, pick the bones out of that one. Chelsea won, Arsenal won. A really good game, I would say, for the first half. Chelsea were personally much the better team. I don't think our Arsenal fans could disagree with that. We created a lot more chances. We looked dangerous pretty much any time we went forward. I thought we controlled the midfield. I thought Reece James and Caicedo were excellent. See, Enzo has just been a revelation. His form has gone through the roof, and at the moment he's absolutely undroppable. So fair play to him. Then, I'll come to it straight away because it is the elephant in the room. Caicedo going in on Marino over the top. He's late, he's reckless, he's nowhere near the ball, he's high. It's just a really poor tackle, and it killed the game. If I'm being honest, it killed the game. I don't think Arsenal coped very well, 11 against 10. Weirdly, I thought they were going to blow us away second half. Chelsea getting their goal just after half time, of course, making it difficult for them. But I just felt as though Chelsea was so much better, and we controlled that midfield so well. I just couldn't see us losing the game. It was a strange feeling because against Arsenal, you hear about them. I've seen them for myself close up and personal, and I was a little bit worried about them. But based on what I saw today, they had this sort of lack of desire to go and win the bigger games. I felt like they should have come out there today in the second half and blown us away, but they just sort of tippy-tappied around a bit. Saka had one or two opportunities. So Cucurella getting yellow carded after 10 minutes meant that he couldn't get too close for fear of giving away another foul and yellow card, and he'd have gone off the pitch as well. So he was playing within himself. But if I'm an Arsenal fan tonight, I'm a bit disappointed. I would be. Just because against 10 men, if they'd got at Chelsea early enough and created something of real note, then it would have been really difficult for us to get back into the game. But at 1-1 when they equalised, I was just thinking they're gonna do us now. But we held firm, and we've got to be very proud of that. I think we've got to call Caicedo out for being a complete dickhead. If we do it to Sanchez and, João Pedro and what have you, we have to do it to him. And as good as Caicedo is, and we know he's world class, we know he's, one of the best players in the world at the moment, it was stupid. And it ruined really any chance of us winning the game. We might have got lucky with a, long range shot or something, or maybe a penalty later on if you can get in the box. But overall, we sort of hung around in the game more than went for it, which is understandable against a very good side. But yeah, I'm pleased with us. I'm pleased with the way we've come out. I think Marseca set his team up really well, and I think it's actually becoming quite difficult to play against. The way he has his fullbacks moving inside the whole time, Gusto and Cucurella were doing it a will in the first half, was frightening and really good to watch. And Chelsea are a good team. If I have to say, all of a sudden, something's clicked. And I must say, watching them now, they're exciting. And it was just a real shame that we couldn't keep 11 players on the field again. And it is becoming our Achilles heel. I think it's our 6th or 7th red card this year. And I'm sorry, it's just going to cost you games. If players get sent off with 5 minutes to go, it doesn't really matter. You might have won the game by then, but when you're getting players sent off in the first half on a regular basis, it's just not good enough. And quite frankly, that's what's going to be our undoing. I think Chris or I don't really believe we're going to go and win the league, of course, but if you win today, you just asked the question. And I think that it was almost like we gave him a way out. And yeah, I'm a bit flat just because I feel as though we were better. And that's a good thing. But we still didn't gain any points on them, and teams behind us. So Man City won late on, and Aston Villa won again today, and they're on a really hot streak. Aston Villa, they've been superb of late. So yeah, there's teams around us, and we're in the mix. And again, a point at home to Arsenal is never a bad point. It's just another game we haven't beaten them, which is becoming really frustrating because I reckon tonight those Chelsea players are going to be disappointed. They didn't have 11 players to finish the game, and they didn't get 3 points because they were, without question, the better side. And clearly Arsenal had more of the ball second half. Naturally, we let them have it. But yeah, just couldn't get our extra players or substitutes into the game. Esteval goes off at half-time again, which is really disappointing for him. He must be getting really frustrated with that. Garnacho came on, he didn't really offer much. Not his fault, but didn't quite get to the game. And Liam Delap, again, he was all right. He got around certain players. He pushed a few people over and he put himself about a little bit, but no shots at goal that I can really remember. But from a team standpoint, I think we can be very proud of them today. They've just given us a little bit of light. I think when there was a load of darkness last year and the year before that, and you sort of see moments where you kind of go, oh, are we doing something quite good? And then they go and lose like 3 games in a row and you go, oh, no, not quite yet. At the moment, there is a little bit of hope, but it doesn't feel like false hope. I think when you see the type of player now that we're bringing on, so Garnacho, Delap, Palmer would have been on today, etc., you're suddenly going, oh, that's pretty good. And then in midfield, players like Andre Santos who were there didn't come on. And do you know what I mean? There is that element of like real strength in depth, which I think that we've struggled for players. Certainly, we know how to buy a player, but we certainly struggled to get the right type of player. And I think that this team isn't far away. I think I'm going to leave my note tonight quite short, but I do want to mention 2 players very, very quickly. The first one is Robert Sanchez. Now, he didn't have loads to do, but he had 2 very crucial saves, both very similar. One in the first half, one in the second half, and he dealt with them really well. Good, strong hands, low down, going the opposite way from where he was running, got down to them, and then obviously made a second save from Gyökeres when he gets clumped in the box. But I think his handling tonight, his footwork, he had 1 or 2 sloppy passes in the first 2 or 3 minutes. But other than that, I thought Robert Sanchez was really good. He seems to be knowing when he needs to kick it long and when he needs to keep it short. And I think what we've all said before, and Chris made a great point the other week, we've sort of grown to like him a bit. And he might not be our favourite ever goalkeeper that's ever been at the club, but there's something about him that the way he keeps coming back, and when he got stick off people in the press and the media and supporters alike, and he never dropped his head. And I think there's something to be said for that. And my word, God loves a trier. And I think Robert Sanchez is a real trier. And I think he does wear that badge with pride. And you could tell when he made that save against Gyökeres that he was like, that meant something to him. And I think I want to give him a load of credit tonight because it was just good all round. Made some good saves, good handling. He controlled his box well, punched when he had to. And the second player I want to mention is Reece James. He's just been given the man of the match by Sky Sports, but he was immense. The way he got around the midfield players. Again, all you're hearing about is Declan Rice and Moises Caicedo, right? And yet, under the radar, you got someone like James, who's now been playing in midfield quite regularly, more so in midfield than actually at fullback. And he looks incredible there. I mean, Chris said to me a while ago, probably a year ago, I think Reece should play centre-back and whatever. And I was like, I'm not sure if he's got the height for centre-back, but I think central midfield is where his talents lie because he can pick a pass, he can shoot, he's got a really good engine. And fingers crossed, his injury worries do seem to be behind him. But yeah, it was just everywhere tonight, Reece. They say picking up loose balls, hustling people out of possession, use the ball really well, short passes, long passes. Just an outstanding game, and rightly so, man of the match. He was brilliant, and not to take anything away from Declan Rice or Moises Caicedo, of course, they're fantastic, but I tell you what, Reece James is one hell of a football player. And if you're an Arsenal fan watching that tonight, and I know there's 1 or 2 people that listen to this podcast, believe it or not, who are Arsenal fans, I think you've seen what Chelsea fans have been saying about Reece James for a long, long time. This kid is one hell of a football player, and you can't doubt him. He has been so, so good for us. He's won the Champions League, multiple European trophies. He's been brilliant, and I'm so pleased for him to come back in a big game like that, play not out of position, but certainly out of his comfort zone in a really big game, and put in a world-class performance. He thoroughly deserved that tonight, so well done, Reece. And just lastly, before I forget, what a setup Chelsea had from Arsenal's set pieces, their corners. We've noticed it before with Chelsea. They do come up with clever ideas. That second half was amazing. It was weird, in fact, We literally put 3 or 4 players up front from Arsenal's corner, and we said, right, go on, Robert. You've got all the fucking room in the world to go and claim that ball. And they just lofted the ball in, and Sanchez caught it. And yes, no Saliba or Gabriel tonight, but I just think that was such a clever move. And I would bet in the next game that Arsenal play against, you see that type of tactic. And if you don't, I think you'd be mad not to, because if you can clear that box and allow your goalkeeper, particularly if you've got a big goalkeeper like Sanchez, to come and claim it, even if a defender goes near him and pushes him over, you're going to give a free kick away. But when you've got a pile of players in the middle, jostling for the ball, it's very, very hard for a goalkeeper to get out and get a free kick. So I think that what Chelsea did there was amazing, and Arsenal looked really flat from it. So you have to give credit where it's due. And I think that was a brilliant bit of tactical genius from Enzo Maresca there. He deserves a real pat on the back for that. Well done, mate. I think I'll pretty much leave it there tonight, only to say that Trevor Chalobah, fantastic again, really good at the back, scored his goal once again, and he's becoming a little player that turns up from these corners and set pieces and nods the odd one in, and he did it again tonight. I think we'll do a more detailed player analysis on the game, maybe tonight or tomorrow. But yeah, for now, I think I'll leave it there and just say it's a good half-forward point. I'm disappointed not to win the game, but overall, we are playing the best team currently in the league, so you can't be too disappointed. But yeah, a good result, but still left wanting more.
What a very good summary, Joe. Superb. Really enjoyed that note. I said before the game in our preview in the last pod that I'd buy a draw now, and at half time, I mean that price had gone up. I would have slapped your hand off for a draw. So got to look at it in that perspective and say, actually, I'm really proud of the team and proud of what we did. Like Joe, I think we were playing so well. I think it was great to see, wasn't it? It's the big Super Sunday, big game. It's nice to see Chelsea back in that billing again. It's felt like a long, long time, hasn't it? Let's be fair. We've had big games, of course, we have in big competitions, normally in cups in recent years, but to be in a big Premier League game like that and turn up and be like, no, we're here to win this, it was really, really good. And yeah, the red card just killed us. But massive credit to Marseca and the team for what we did in that second half, and to basically limit Arsenal to very little. But the first thing to say, let's talk about the red card, just in the fact that where would we be if we could keep 11 men on the pitch? 12 games this season in the Premier League, we've already had 4 red cards, and 3 of them have really, really damaged us in those games. Obviously, one of them was Gusto late on against Forest, which didn't matter. But when you think of Rob Sanchez at Man United, obviously Chalobah himself being unlucky against Brighton, but being left in that position for a red card, and then Caicedo today, it's killed us in 3 of those 4 games. And it's kind of crazy when you look at it that way. It's a quarter of the season, a quarter of the games. But credit to us for not panicking. Hit to Maresca for learning his lesson, certainly from that Brighton Man United game. And obviously Esteval would have felt really, really unfortunate to have come off. But, at least he didn't go crazy. I think I saw Tosin immediately being like warming up, and I was like, oh no, what have you got planned here? But he didn't. He kept it calm, and actually I thought the game plan in the second half just about worked pretty well. And there were 2 or 3 times, weren't there, where if we just picked the right pass on the counter-attack, there was one that really jumps out to mind where Liam Delap had it on the right and Neto was making it on. He rushed the ball, played too quickly. And it was like those little moments you're like, oh, actually, we could have got Arsenal a little bit better at times, but that huge credit to everyone out there and what they did. I want to sort of pick on a couple of threads, I think, that Joe talked about. I think Rob Sanchez is actually the first one, just because we've mentioned this recently on the pod. The way we're talking about Sanchez now is so different to a year ago. It's kind of insane, actually. He was really the fall guy for us last year on the pod, for those who were listening. I was so frustrated with him. And to be honest, I think when I look back, rightly so in many cases, I think he looked almost a different player to what he does now. He just is so much more confident. And this says a lot that we've been linked recently again in the press to Mike Maignan from Milan. And I was so excited by that link in the summer. I was like, oh, snap him up, let's get him. While we're not paying the extra money, let's make it happen. that rumour came up again recently, and I was like, well, is he a big upgrade? Is he a big enough upgrade on Sanchez to make that move now? We know we've got Petrovic waiting. Sorry, not Petrovic. Get it right. We know we've got Penders waiting in the wings. I don't know if I would rush a big move there. I don't know if Sanchez is a big concern for me right now, and why make the change? So yeah, it just shows, I think, how much he's grown, and yeah, as Joe said, not a huge amount to do, but the stuff he did have to do, I think he did really well and was so brave there at the end when Gyökeres kind of rushed down to his feet. Like, massive credit to him. That's the game itself. I think what was so damning and frustrating about the red card was just that it just sort of spoiled the second half, didn't it, in terms of your enjoyment of watching it as a fan. I actually couldn't be there today, which was a bit sad. I had to give my ticket away because my sister's over from Dubai, so we were celebrating an early Christmas. So I was watching it in the living room, but I just found myself like pacing around the room the second half, just kind of watching the clock. Obviously, the second we scored, you're then just going, oh God, okay, can we hold this out? And then it goes 1-1, and you're like, you dread the worst at that point, which fair play to us. And the fact that there weren't many nervy moments was credit to us, really. But it was such a shame because we'd been on so much on the front foot, and I thought we would have certainly seen Palmer. I think it was almost set up perfectly with 11v11 that I'm sure Marseca had been quite happy. 1-1, 60 minutes on the clock. Let's see Palmer on the pitch, but it just completely changed the dynamic of the game, which was a shame from a Chelsea perspective. And then you had that Gyökeres moment at the end, and I don't know, for those who remember the 1-1 at the Bridge last year, but quite similar moment, because the last kick of the game, Arsenal put a ball in from that left-hand side in front of the shed end, and it had just missed Havertz's toe. And I think, looking back, someone had got in his way and from an Arsenal point of view and missed, and meant that he didn't get the ball. And exactly the same thing happened again with, I think it was Timber getting in Gyökeres' way, which would have been pretty much a header from 4 yards out. So it would have, in my opinion, would have been incredibly harsh on Chelsea had Arsenal won the game. So I think that probably on balance, that certainly with the right scoreline. But yeah, it was a shame, I think, for the spectacle. But obviously, it was a red card. I don't think it was malicious. I've watched it back a few times from Caicedo. I think you watch his eyes, is immediately looking at where the ball's gone, but it was late, and it's one of those. This, in the day and age of VAR, if you kept someone that high, you're going to get a red card. We see them week in, week out, don't we? So yeah, that's going to be tricky, because I imagine it'll be a 3-game ban, and yeah, three tricky games to have without him. So I guess with what Reece has been doing, as Joe just said, you got Andre Santos, you got Enzo, you've got Asugo actually, who was back in training the Friday before the game, which is obviously mini Caicedo. So potentially good timing there, but yeah, not ideal, let's face it. And yeah, Reece, I wanted to mention something about Reece. I think just on the fact that, I can't add a huge amount more on what Joe said. It was so good. But I think what you see with Reece, which must be huge for him, is from an England perspective, not that he was out in the cold under Southgate, but I think he certainly wasn't the first pick under Southgate. And obviously he's had his injuries in the last couple of years that we all know about. We've lived that. But I think the fact that Tuchel's come in and immediately made it pretty abundantly clear that Reece is his main man and will play, must give him a massive boost as well. Just must be huge for him to be like getting into a World Cup year. Pray that he stays fit. Pray he gets to do that for England. Must be massive for him. So I'm really pleased for him from that perspective as well. And I think you're just seeing on the pitch that you just saw it today, didn't you? Like he can do anything. He can do everything on the football pitch. You could put him anywhere and he'd be one of the best players on the pitch. I really believe that. And so yeah, I was absolutely delighted for him, and good to see him getting that credit, and again in such a big game, the world seeing what we've seen as Chelsea fans for so long. And I think I'm going to leave my note tonight, but just saying that we're in a good spot. I think we've been waiting for a while to feel like we're seeing growth in this Chelsea team and in the project, if you will, seeing these men, young boys turn into men, if you like. And there are signs, aren't there? There are real signs now we know that we can turn up in these big games, but there's just signs of something bigger, I think. Like little things, like we talked before about wanting to see some continuity at centre-back, and that's again for Fofana and Chalobah playing together, and again playing very, very well. I mean, I think Fofana will probably be a bit disappointed on the goal. It looked like he got under the ball and he lost Marino, but aside from that, they were pretty flawless, and they have been consistently actually as a pairing. So I think there's a lot of positives there, and I think Marseca will look at where we are and think, yeah, okay, we're in a good spot. It's a really important period ahead now. It's a really important period. Chelsea have to keep the pedal down all the way through to this Christmas run. This is the part, obviously, after Christmas last year when it went wrong. We were in a similar spot to this last year, so we need to learn from that. But certainly as a fans, it feels good. You feel proud of your team. That's how I feel. I just feel proud today, I think. And the fact that you're looking at that thinking, all right, we're to dig in today. And it was a case of that second half. Well, can we come out with something? And next up, we've got Leeds. And perhaps we see Palmer and Esteval on the pitch together. And I just think that's going to be. But I'll hand back over to Joe to reflect more on what we did today. And yeah, look forward to these big games coming up. So yeah, up the Chelsea, feeling good.
So it's the morning after the night before, and how do we all feel about that game? Personally, it is just a draw. You know, we didn't win the game, and I think we can kind of rue that mischance, the red card not helping, and all of that stuff. But I think the way I'm taking it is I really hope that Chelsea as a club can use that performance and the performance before against Barcelona, the Liverpool game at home recently as well, and use that as our starting point now in terms of performance. I'm going to struggle to watch us go to Leeds on Wednesday night and play some slow, methodical build-up play. I don't think you can do that against a team like Leeds. I think the fact that it's a derby, even though it's not a derby, it's a game that we really want to win and they want to beat us, might help. I like the way that we play this sort of high-paced, high-intense football, and I think we play our best stuff when we do that. When we knock it around slowly and aimlessly for 35 minutes of a 45-minute half, it is quite painful to watch. And I think we just don't play our best stuff like that. We are a much better team when we are focused and driven to turn somebody over that we don't like. You know, Liverpool, Barcelona, and Arsenal being, 3 case in points. And I just hope that the game on Wednesday, we are right up for it. And do you know what? Go there, try and win the game in the most positive way possible, and put some pressure on the teams above us and the teams that are around us, because it'll be very easy now to put in a very meek performance at Leeds and come away with nothing. And we are feeling like we've gone back to square one. And I said this in my last voice note for the Arsenal game, that I don't think we're there now. I think we've maybe moved past that stage. Well, it's going to take the team and Marseca to prove that to me. I think you're probably going to see some kind of Cole Palmer. The fact that Caicedo's got himself injured, he won't play that role, obviously. But I think Enzo might drop further back possibly, or like Chris said, Asugu might come in, maybe Santos, we don't know. But I think you're going to see Palmer in some capacity against Leeds. Not surprised that he didn't come on against Arsenal because of the way the game went. It didn't really lend itself to that. Maybe they thought, do we want him chasing shadows for, the best part of 45 minutes in the second half? Probably not great for someone who's just coming back from injury. So I can see why he didn't come on. And that was another reason that Caicedo's rib was so brain dead in some ways. But I just really want to see us now take the game to these teams, because we are a far better side than Leeds. We're a far better side than Burnley and Everton. We just are. But we have to show it. And it's no good talking about it. You've got to do it on the field. And I think we surprised a few people yesterday. I think there was a lot of pundits who have come out, Jamie Carragher of all people, guys, basically saying how well we played. Arsenal didn't play badly. Chelsea just played well. And there's been a lot of that sort of comment over the last 24 hours. So, yeah, it's been good to hear that, But equally, like, it's down to Chelsea now to prove that they are a serious team. And when I say that, I want to caveat it and say I don't expect Chelsea to win every game until the end of time. I'm not ridiculously stupid. It's just that they have to kind of not play in this slow, ponderous, going nowhere football way, leave the game till too late in the second half to try and win it as well. That's another thing we are guilty of sometimes. I feel like we let the first half drift and then we're hoping to get a goal in the second half. I feel like we should go and try and get that first goal and settle ourselves down, because when teams come at us, we are deadly on the counter-attack. And I think that is our biggest strength. We have players that can do that at will and at ease. Garnacho, Neto, for example. So, yeah, we're a killer team in that sense. And I just hope that we don't play that slow, ponderous way that we are sometimes guilty of. Just going back to the Arsenal game very, very briefly, I was asked by a couple of people online and in the flesh, basically about Chelsea's discipline and their record that has been basically pretty dismal this year. And, will we change? I don't know if we will. Marseca seems to have them wound pretty tight, and I think they play their best football. Cucurella being one who, he's all over you like a rash. He's almost hoping not to get booked inside the first half so he can keep having a nibble at you all day long. You sensed yesterday that once he did get booked early on, he was worried, and Saka was such a good player that he didn't want to go in there too hard because he would just fall over and probably get another yellow card, and that's in a Cucurella. So on the discipline side of things, I think you're going to see them continue to play this way. So it's going to be, I think, certainly in the short term, a little bit frustrating. I hope to God we can sort out the red cards, because that is becoming a real issue. And I think that's going to hold us back if we do continue to get red cards. And if you see the way Marseca is himself on the touchline, I mean, I think he got booked yesterday. Maybe it was against Barcelona. I'm thinking Barcelona, maybe. He got booked there because he was obviously disagreeing with decisions that were going against him, he felt. So when you see your manager doing that, it does tend to rub off onto the players. So I think if Marseca continues to go hard, on the touchline and give officials and referees alike a bit of stick, I think the players will kind of copy that a little bit and think it's okay. So look, if he's telling them to keep doing this, then they're not going to change. Do you know what I mean? If they go in the changing room today as a club and say, look, if we could just clear a few of these things up, it's just going to make us a better team. No team's probably won the Premier League by having as many red cards as we have. I might be wrong, but I just cannot see, teams finishing with 10 men after the first 25 minutes, half an hour. Sanchez was like 4 minutes against Man United. That's just an unforgivable amount of red cards, and we're not giving ourselves any kind of opportunity to see a game out. Gusto, when he got red carded against Nottingham Forest, was sort of okay. I didn't like it, but it was okay because we were 3-0 up with 3 minutes of injury time to go. It didn't really affect the team. That's what I was trying to say yesterday. But against the real top teams like Arsenal, and okay, they didn't punish us too much yesterday, but these top sides, they will eventually just wear you down, and ultimately, no one cares that you had 10 men. If you lose that game 2-1 yesterday, nobody gives a shit. It's just going to be Chelsea 1, Arsenal 2. Arsenal come from behind to win. That's all you're going to hear. You're not going to hear about the red card. And the same with any other game that we played where we've got a man sent off and it's cost us the game. Yeah, you might hear the odd thing about Nicholas Jackson getting a red card, or maybe Sanchez getting his red card or whatever. But it's very quickly forgotten, and it's 3 points for the other team, and you're just languishing in a poorer league position because of it. So, yeah, I'm hoping we can get a good blend of aggression, but equally there has to be an air of smart. And I don't think sometimes we've been smart. Maybe that's to do with the team's lack of experience, maybe a few novice players, but in terms of how many games they played, it's probably not a lot compared to a lot of other teams. So I think, fingers crossed, we can sort it out in certainly next season. Whether it be this year or not, I'm not too sure. And as we move on to the Leeds game coming up on Wednesday night, I just feel as though that's got a red card written all over it. We are the sort of side that will go there and do something stupid because Leeds will be bang up for it. Yes, it's that sort of game from the 1970s FA Cup final, etc. It's never been forgotten. All the yellow cards that should have been red cards now. The game's been replayed 100 times, but there's always been this air of we hate Leeds and they hate us, and the Southern softies and all the rest of it. So I just I just really hope that Caicedo isn't a bigger miss as I think he might be. I'm hoping now that Andre Santos, or like we said earlier on, if Enzo drops deeper and Cole Palmer plays further forward, that we've got enough experience in the team now. We've had enough games, certainly enough good games of late, where we're not kind of going, we miss him that much. He's always going to be a miss, Caicedo, in a game like that. But when you start to win games as regularly as Chelsea have done, and against the sort of opposition they have done, you have to start saying, you can't just keep using that as an excuse. One player missing shouldn't be an excuse anymore. And I think I'm at that stage with them where I kind of go, well, no, you can't just do it against the teams you want to do it against. It has to be a regular thing now. And you've got a big squad for a reason, like I said last week. So I fully expect Chelsea to put in a really solid performance against Leeds. Leeds themselves have lost their last 4 games, 3 away from home. Forest, Brighton and Man City, obviously this weekend in the last minute, which was a bit unlucky. And they lost at home to Villa. So they've had 4 reasonably tough games, I would suggest. They're not easy fixtures, those. But, what fixture is in the Premier League at the moment? That's why I'm sort of fairly buoyant. To lose their last 4, you want to keep them down there. That would suggest that if Chelsea can get their noses ahead, like I said, let's start nice and fast. Let's get ahead of this team. I think you could go and put a number on them. And, I think if we can get a very explosive Cole Palmer back in the side, that'd be wonderful. And maybe, just maybe, we might get Estevao alongside him as well. I mean, that'd be quite something to behold, and maybe the start of something really, really special.
I think universally we impressed a few people, didn't we, yesterday? The way that Chelsea played, particularly going down to 10 men. I think showing we've got some balls, I think, was kind of what came to mind for me. And yeah, I saw the Jamie Carragher stuff earlier. It was kind of a nice surprise to see him speaking highly of us and just generally, Chelsea getting a bit of respect, putting some respect on our name. But it'll mean nothing if we don't follow it up with a good result on Wednesday night. So I'll talk about that game in a second. I think one comment I wanted to add on there, I guess the disciplinary issues. Jared, I had this exactly the same. It's obviously a big talking point because all the numbers are being shared around at the moment. I feel like the red cards for me, you have to almost take each one in isolation, don't you? In terms of what the scenario was. If you look at something like the Trev Chalobah one, he's last man back. It wasn't a terrible foul. It was just that Andre Santos had slipped over against Brighton. So that one was a bit different. You could argue Sanchez is at Man United. Again, it's not dirty. It's probably stupid, isn't it? It was rash. The Caicedo one, it's going to be hard for him to take that out of his game, isn't it? Because it's just the way he plays, that he's always on the edge, and 9 times out of 10 he gets those right, and he gets the ball, but the ones that go against him, obviously it's going to be a problem. But yeah, I'm with you, Joe. I think it is part of the makeup of this iteration of Chelsea under Marseca that we will pick up bookings, we will fly in, and probably the makeup of the sort of players that we've got, it is kind of who we are. I think where we obviously live on the edge, we just do need to, as you say, just be clever with it. Just be clever with it. You could make sure you're living on the edge but not going over it, which we clearly are at times. I think Cucurella at the moment, touch wood, it seems to get that just right, doesn't he? And like you say, even we got that early booking against Arsenal and has to maybe be a bit more cautious, but doesn't generally then get the second, is just sensible enough not to. And that probably comes with a bit of experience as well, doesn't it? But yeah, I think he probably is. It is who we are, really. And no better place to go than up to Dirty Leeds to show that what we're all about on Wednesday night. I'm going to go through what my team would be, because, it's something to do. And I enjoy doing this. And I think there'll probably be a few changes. My gut feeling is that he kind of has said that Reece James won't play in the post-match press conference. He's kind of said that they need to manage Reece. So I don't think he'll start. So I think it'll be Sanchez in goal, Gusto right back. I think he'll probably keep Cucurella in at left back. There'll be a temptation to give Hato a game. But I just think, although Leeds are not a great side, a Wednesday night game away in the Premier League is never easy. So I'd keep Cucurella in there, I think. And then I do expect there to be a change at centre-back, just in managing Fofana's minutes as well. So I think Chalobah will play, but I think there will be a change alongside him, and it'll either be Tosin or Bereshile. I This podcast, as you know, would go for Badiashile out of those two, but who knows what he'll do. And obviously Tosin did play at Burnley and actually played pretty well. So that'll be, I imagine, one of the changes there. In the midfield, as we said, no Reece, no Caicedo. So I think it will probably be Enzo and Andre Santos. And again, it's easy to forget, obviously, but Caicedo didn't play at Burnley, did he? And Andre Santos was superb that day. So I think that actually is quite an easy option for him. And, oh God, I'd be so tempted to start Palmer. And I'd love to start Palmer, obviously. But I wonder if they'll look at this Leeds game with a very tricky away game at Bournemouth coming up on Saturday as well and think, can we give Palmer half an hour at Leeds with the idea of him starting at Bournemouth at the weekend? I just got a feeling that might be what they're looking at. So I would expect that maybe we see João Pedro behind Delap, and then, well, wings is always tricky, isn't it? But I think probably Esteval, having been brought off at half time, will probably find that he starts on the right, and maybe Neto gets a rare rest off the bench, and we start with Garnacho on the left with Esteval on the right. I could see that kind of makeup of a team, and when you look at the Leeds lineup and what they've been doing recently, that should be more than enough if we're on our game. Who knows? But we need to get out, we need to get that first goal, and we need to show what we're all about. And like you say, Jay, you want to see us playing on the front foot, don't you? I was looking at the Leeds lineup and their squad. Not a huge number of names that particularly excite me in terms of players, but the one that jumped out was Ethan Ampadu. I'd kind of forgotten he was at Leeds, but Ampadu, obviously ex-Chelsea boy, someone that there was a period, definitely under Frank Lampard, when there's quite a few of us, I think, where we're really hopeful that he might have a future at Chelsea. He's a very likeable player, isn't he? Back in the days, obviously strong in the tackle, good passer of the ball. So I imagine he'll get a decent reception from the Chelsea away support. Certainly better than Madueke got on Sunday. That was lively, wasn't it? He didn't get Madueke much love from Enzo Fernandez or Cucurella, by the way. I don't know if you've seen that clip on social media, but yeah, quite funny. He's on the ground basically, and they're kind of in his face, telling him to get up and giving him a bit. So no love lost, but yeah, let's hope that Chelsea do the business on Wednesday and can show that we are growing up as a team and we are here for the long haul, because yeah, this season is starting to move in the right direction. I think we're all getting a bit more hope about what it could lead to. So yeah, let's hope that the first game of December brings a good result, and it's jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to see Chelsea win away. Those were the Chelsea notes for this week. If you enjoyed the podcast, do us a favour and share it with a fellow Blue. And we'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave us a review wherever you're listening. Wherever you may be, stay carefree, and remember, every little thing's gonna be all right.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.